Hi there, thanks for joining me. Welcome to the Crafty Vixens winter edition of the Class in a Box. Hi, I'm Morag. I just thought I would show you, walk you through the layouts that I've got, all my contribution to this particular edition. So I've got 2 scrapbook layouts and a little mini book to share with you. And I thought I'd talk about some of the techniques that I've used. You'll get full instructions, but you know, if you're like me, it's kind of easier if you see something, isn't it? So I'll get started, and hopefully we won't take too long, so you can get on and craft. My first layout then is the bundled up. So the key feature in this layout is the big pocket at the top. And my thought is you could store some ephemera or your Christmas cards, a letter, you know, so if you had a Christmas list, for example, that could be tucked in here. You can use tags, so anything you want really, because it's a lovely big pocket. And you know, it's really simple to make. But I like this kind of idea because you do want to store those kind of extra bits of memories, and you'll use this idea again and again because you know you can store your tickets, programs, all sorts of things in a layout such as this. So the key thing to note about this, so in the instructions it goes through with all the measurements and how to create the pocket, so it's very simple. But what I want to show you in a moment is really just for those that haven't done it before or maybe need to hone their technique a little, is the watercolouring that we've done here. So a lot of people do know how to do this, so if you're one of those people you can fast forward through, but if not, stick around and I'll show you how I do the smooshing technique on the background here. But for the rest of you then, you can carry on to the next section if you want to. So let me just put this aside. So the cardstock you've been provided in the kit is really thick. I'm guessing it's about 350 GSM or something like that. So I do find, as long as you haven't saturated it, you don't need to gesso generally, that it will take a fair bit of ink and water before it buckles, because that's my pet hate. I hate it when it's all buckled up. So I tend not to, you know, apply too much water if I can. Let me just grab some packaging. So the ink colour that I've used on my layout is Victorian Velvet. I don't know if you can see that okay. So it comes in a Distress Oxide ink or a Distress ink, and they are actually the same colour more or less, but you'll see the oxides tend to be a bit paler, a bit more chalky, and the original Distress inks may be a little bit darker than its equivalent. You can use either. I've probably used, let me have a look, I'm guessing I've used Distress Oxides, but I'll show you both actually so that you can see the difference, and then you can decide which you want to use. Now if you don't have this colour, you know, try and have a look out for some another pink ink. It doesn't have to be Distress, any dye ink will have the same effect, or you can use your watercolours, so use exactly the same technique in whichever kind of medium that you've got available, rather than going out and buying one. So what we'll need for this then is the inks or the watercolour, whichever you're going to be using, a bit of plastic packaging, so you'll have some of that in your kit, so just go ahead and use that. You don't want a massive piece because it'll be harder to control, so if you've got a big sheet, just cut it down to something a bit more manageable. You'll need some plain water, and maybe a messy mat. So I don't know where my messy mat is, so I'll just use this palette in case I need it. You don't necessarily need it depending on what you're doing. So just to confirm then, we're aiming to put some ink just down the background here, I think I've said it's just a bit off centre and a bit below, so the bottom quadrant. You don't want it to go down too far. If you're unsure, you know what I would do is always practice before you actually put your ink to your final page, because in that way you'll be pleased with the results. So our first job really is to put some ink onto our medium. So in this case, the cellophane bag. And say I know lots of people know this technique already. I just need to grab some paper towels and we'll get started. Just grab those. So my distress oxiding is quite juicy. You can see a lot of ink went down already onto that page. Probably too much for the area that I want, but that's okay. We just need to make sure we add the right amount of water. I'm going to do that on my page. So I'm aiming for kind of a watercolour consistency, so you can see there. But you can see it's also quite square, so you kind of want to make sure that you spread it out so you don't have any hard edges. So you can do that either with the paintbrush, wiggle it around a little bit, but just definitely you do not want like a square edge. You can use your finger, anything you like really. Now I've got quite a lot of ink on there, so realistically I'm going to get a lot of ink on my background, so I'm just going to soak a bit up because I've gone a bit mad. Otherwise you'll just end up with a really dark layer, which is what you might want in some circumstances or what you might not want, so you can always add, but it's more difficult to take away. So let's get started. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to just lightly touch my page. So you know, you could dab, you can spread it around a little bit. So because I had so much, you can see a lot has gone down, which would be perfect for this particular project. But again, if you've got too much, you know, you need to just take off some of the ink first. So don't put too much down in any one go. Now, I'm not using the same card, I'm just using some scrap card here, which is a lot thinner, so you'll see it will buckle. And by going flat, we're getting nice, even splodges here. Maybe I want some more of these little splodges around, so you can just tap as best you can, and you'll get different effects depending on, you know, how you're treating the cellophane. As I say, it's a good idea to hone your technique. They'll always come out differently, but you know, I see people, you know, pushing it down so it all spreads out, so you get much bigger areas. Equally, when you get this marbling here, you know, if you just tap those down, you get a very spotty area. So depending on the look you're after, you know, you just need to know what to expect really. So if you can let that dry, you can always go back over and then you'll get some layers. So that is with Distress Oxide ink. Very, very simple. So I'll just clean this up. And we'll go again this time with the Distress ink. So this is really old Distress ink, so I've had it years. So it's definitely not as vivid or as inky as the oxide. So you'll find I need a lot less water. So again, we're aiming for like a little bit of beading. You can squish that around, get rid of those hard edges. Let's take another piece of card, and this time I'm going to do the same again. So kind of a similar colour, but they'll dry slightly differently. So I find, as I say, the Distress ink will dry a little bit, perhaps a little bit darker, but less chalky. So maybe a little bit clear if you like. So you can also, if you've got ink left on there, you can tap it and you'll get like a tap. So that's another thought. You could, you know, put your paintbrush in there and flick it. So lots of different ways. And you'll do exactly the same thing with a watercolour paint if you want to. I'm going to leave these to dry and we'll come back to those so that you can see how we use those in our layout. So this is the bundled up layout that we are aiming for. So this is where we've got the inking. I've let that dry, and then I've gone back over with a small stamp, just add a bit of texture, and probably I've covered up most of it. So you kind of want to stamp into your ink pad, maybe stamp it off, and then, you know, do a second, third, fourth impression, just so you've got very, very light kind of impressions on your page. So as I say, the instructions are all there for the rest of this layout, so I won't teach you to suck eggs. You can read the instructions. It's very, very easy to use. By the way, if you have different size photos, you know, don't feel restricted in copying exactly the class instructions. You know, you can adapt it to your photos. If you've got 2 photos or one larger photo, you can go ahead and just change that out and it will still work. I do try and make my layouts so they are adaptable very easily to suit your own photos, because there's nothing worse than trying to create a layout that just doesn't work for you. So hopefully you'll find that you can just change this main section around for your photos. You know, if you've got a landscape one or one larger one, you know, whatever works for you, it should still work. So that's bundled up. So if you did this one first, because you'll need that large paper here, and then I'm using the same papers then on my next layout, so we'll cover that one next, and then hopefully that will be one down, and then on to holidays. So again, I'm using the same papers because Julie and I have used the same kit. We try not to use the same papers if we can help it. It doesn't always work. But again, you know, if you've already used some papers or you want to change your papers, please go ahead. Don't feel I've got to have that particular paper or that particular sticker. Just use the kit as you wish, and you'll find that it all works beautifully together anyway. So holidays, show you if you can see that very well. We're going to create this lovely textured border down the side here. It's got loads and loads of texture, and then we're going to tuck a few little bits and pieces into there, so you could tuck lots of different things in here if you wanted to. And then basically we're going to do the border here, and we've left for our photos, we've just stuck down the 3 sides of the photo to allow the tags to be tucked in. That's where you can put your journaling, your date and so on. Another thing to remember actually is when you look in the instructions, I've taken one of the 2x2 journal cards and just turned it into a tag. So I've just cut it out of the square, trimmed it down a little bit, and then punched a couple of holes in and threaded it through my my twine here. So that's probably the only, not tricky, but maybe something that you kind of might get a bit confused about. And when you're doing the twine, rather than going all the way around and onto the back, I've just pieced the twine onto the back and then cut it, because otherwise this will all be a waste. So that's worth noting as well. And I think you've been included some thread in your kit. So I've just added some cross stitches here and here, and there's like, I don't know if I was on camera for that one. I've done a couple here, just because I think it adds a bit of cute detail. Can you see that? And then also here on the journaling card, on a bit of the journaling. So I think that was fussy cut out of one of the papers as well. So again, my advice would be to go ahead, construct the main layout, and then come back with the stickers and embellishments, just because you might feel that that might work better on a different layout or on the mini book or whatever. But you know, don't worry, you know, if you haven't got exactly the same stickers or you've used it elsewhere, you know, just go with the flow and adapt the layout accordingly. So that is the holidays. Let me just go back before we carry on to the mini book. I don't know if it's a bit dark today, so I was wrong. I got it the wrong way around. So this is the distress ink. So it's still drying, so it's darker where it's drying off, and then where it has dried a little bit more, it's much lighter. And then this is the oxide ink, so you can see actually the colours, although it's the same colour, actually look a little bit different. So we'll come back to that when it's fully dried. And then on to the mini book. What I think I need to do is make a bit of an explanation. Again, you've got the instructions for this, I've just written them, but actually it's quite, I think it's easy when you know how, but it's quite confusing when you see it written down. So hopefully this video will really give you a good idea of what to expect. I'm just going to grab one of the packs. Oopsie. Right, because I think it might be better to explain. So let me just open one of these. Here we are. So we are going to create this little cute mini book out of one of the papers. So it's a one-page wonder, and I can just see the postman, so bear with me a second. We'll get this set up and I'll explain everything. Right, I am back. Just wondering what it's asking me. So this is the little mini book. As I say, we are creating this from the beautiful 4x4 journal cards. So I'm guessing the idea is you cut these up and you can use them on your pocket pages and so on. But it's got a cute little snowman on the other side, and these great designs on this side. So I kind of, when I was working, decided, well, actually, you know what, can we do something a bit more clever with that? And it sounded really easy in my head, and it is actually, but I say the folding, you just kind of need to get your head around it a little bit. But hopefully by the time we finish today, you'll get that. So this is the book. You can start it in different ways, so I think I'm starting this way really. It just kind of concertinas around, so you'll find that you'll have to turn the pages. But you know, I just do think it's a really cute idea. So it kind of works its way around. So I'm guessing really that might be the best way to start my book, I think. Now, let me just do this. Let's start again. Yeah, so that actually, I would say, is my front. I should know really, shouldn't I? So let's start with Winter Wishes. But it's the nature of the book is that it doesn't really matter, because you'll have things upside down and have to turn them around. So, but it does make more sense this way. So Winter Wishes is at the front, and as we open the book, it's kind of conventional. And I've decorated the pages, but there's no photos in mine. But it was just to give you an idea. It was kind of a bit of a fun project really. So I just dug out some old decorations. So I've got a Christmas box, but these were decorations for presents and things, or I've saved them from gifts that I've been given. And I think that's a really good way to use it and make your supplies go a bit further. So it folds out this way, and then this makes more sense, isn't it? It folds around. I've used one of the tags from the cut apart sheets. Again, I'm just decorating it with what I've got on hand. And the purpose of this isn't really to show you how to decorate it. It's more really a case of showing you how to construct the book. So you could decorate it as you wish. And you probably want to tackle this project after you've covered all your 5 layouts, because whatever you've got left, you can use your sticker. I haven't used all my stickers because I didn't know what Julie was using, so you can definitely go to town with kind of your leftover supplies as you wish. So that's like page 2 and 3, and then it folds out again. So you know, on pages like this, you'd probably have to stick a photo over the top of the background if you wanted to. Oh, these are really cute tags. I have put those in the, or similar things into the kit. Just really, really tiny jewellery tags. I don't know if you can see that. I couldn't get exactly the same, these are really old ones, but I've got something similar for the kit. And again, it's just an idea to, you know, to give you for decorating. This is just straight from the page, and then I've just added a little bit of stickles or glitter glue, whatever you've got, for a bit of frosting. Again, straight from the book. And then on to the last page. Again, I've just done a simple decoration. I've stamped out the tag for you, so you have that in your kit. And then this one is the last page and has the tags inside it. So if you go either way, oh, I'm sure it's stuck now. I think I've got them all upside down, so it must have to come this way, I think. That makes more sense, doesn't it? Look. So this one's just a little pocket for which you can put those tags in. So you could put some journaling, you know, and I think this would make a really cute present for somebody. You know, like a loved one, an auntie, an uncle, grandma, whatever. So that is where we're aiming for. And to make this then, and again the instructions are in the pack and the cutting instructions, but we're going to cut along here, and then we're going to cut down and across. So we're going to end up with kind of like a snake shape, and then we're going to fold and score and fold between the pages, like here. And in the instructions then it will say this is a mounting fold, so that is going to go, let me just open this out, actually it'll make more sense if I, so you can see where I've cut along the background, as I mentioned. And this last one, Hello Winter, rather than cutting back up here and then ending up with a square on its own, that's the bit that made the pocket, so it's just been folded back on itself to make a pocket. And then in the instructions it says mounting fold, valley fold, mounting fold, valley fold, mounting fold, valley fold, mounting fold. So actually, as I say, it's a lot easier than it looks, but it just kind of looks a little bit complicated when you play with the book. And then the only other thing that you need to know is for my closure, I've threaded the ribbon through, so we've made a small slit here. Now I have swapped the ribbon because this ribbon's awful for tying shut, it's not completely inflexible. So you've got beautiful organza or blue ribbon for in your kit, so you could use either. And so you make your little slit, you can thread the ribbon through, and make sure you have enough ribbon then to go all the way around the book. And then we glue this ribbon onto this page, so that's the back of Winter Wishes, and then we can bring it together and tie it shut. So I say you can decorate it how you like. I've just given you a bit of a suggestion there, which you'll see in the instructions, and I'll share some pictures on the group, so you can definitely, you know, take a closer look and take your time over decorating. So that is my projects. One final look at those smudges that we have done, that we did earlier. They are still drying off, but I would say, and it's probably because my ink's older and not quite as much ink, but this is the Distress ink and this is the Distress Oxide. So this one's probably a little bit more or less opaque, and that's a bit more translucent. Whichever way though, it doesn't really matter, it's just to give you an idea of how I do the smooshing. So do look out, we'll shoot a video for Julie's layouts using the kit, and hopefully that's been a bit of a help for you to understand what to do. So don't forget to share your layouts with us, because we'd love to see what you've done. I hope you've really enjoyed the kit. We've really enjoyed it, to be fair, so hopefully we'll be back soon with another one. Thanks then, bye.